presentation.
Yeah.
I will sort of do this background, which is the core of the share drive, and then sort of the policy framework.
Okay.
And then Gilbert now, because he basically is in charge of treasury, he will give us where we are in terms of collections, you know.
Yeah.
And in this presentation, I think it's both to be informative and also to hear what the diaspora team think about some of our projections. I think it's important to get this together, and also just to debate even whether we are on the right, we are using the right sort of goal structure.
Okay.
Because a lot of this investment, I think, we hope that will come from the diaspora.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you, everyone. And thank you, Bill, for making this happen. And thank you, Gilbert, for inviting me to make this presentation on behalf of the shares and investment team. If you look at the screen, the first part of the Excel sheet talks about
Is the screen sharing? Oh, God, I can see it. Sorry. My bad.
Okay. So is anybody else not seeing the screen? I guess everyone is seeing the screen, so we're good. So the first part of the screen on the far top left, basically this is a share allocation model structure. So we start with we've adopted 140 shillings as a dollar conversion rate. Of course, this has since changed. I think it's almost 147 now. But for the purposes of this discussion, we'll leave it there. Then the stamp duty, which is every time we increase our share capital as Ludeva, we will have to pay the government 1% of that value. So it's good to everyone to know. And then we said we will have two classes of shares. We will have Class A shares, which will carry 55% of the voting rights, and then Class B shares, which will carry 45% of the voting right. And the rationale at this stage was to be able to say that the original Ludeva, sort of what you say, the early adopters, we will call them the visionaries, or who carry the dream, the dream carriers of Ludeva, because the early adopters sort of,
the pioneers almost.
Yes, the pioneers. Exactly. So we didn't want to dilute the objects of Ludeva. As more people come, there'll be less and less personal touch, and a lot of the shareholders will become impersonal, and a lot of it, some of them will be passive shareholders. They really wouldn't care the direction of Ludeva. So the idea was to lock anybody who is a shareholder by end of December will fall in the category of Class A. And those who come past December of this year then will be more or less considered as Class B. So initially what we had done, we had taken the 236 pioneer members of Ludeva to be the ones to carry the 55% vote. So I think the rest of the team felt, look, the true original pioneers of Ludeva, not all of them may be able to sort of take up their allotment by that time. So a window was open to create a different class of shares, which was Class B. And you'll notice that those who came after the original membership, their classes are LB. You'll find that the Ludeva code is LB for that member. And I think that decision, will be made by the executive by the end of the year when we close the register. Then we'll see where we stand. And then because at that time, we'll be going to the registrar to be able to more or less to pay for the shares, for the capital we would have raised, so that we are able to issue their share certificates to those who would have paid their shares by that time. So that is the first part. Now, coming to the vision, if you look at the next one, which is the variables, is the number of members. I think we call them members, but I think it should be number of shareholders. So you see, initially there were 236. I think there's an error there. It was 230. But we said we will cap the pioneer shares at 250, which is share campaign 1. And we will issue 25,000 shares, which means each shareholder has an allotment of 100 shares. And the par value per share is 1,000. And that means plus the premium price we are paying for purposes of administration, which is 100 shillings, then it makes the share price 1,100. And if you have allotted 100 shares, we expect you to have a paid up capital of 110,000 Kenya shillings by the end of this year. So if all of us pay up the 110,000, it is our hope that Nyidhiwa PLC will have an initial capital of 25 million and a share premium account of 2.5 million, which will go towards operational costs. So that is for the share campaign 1. I don't know who else is not muted. If they can mute, or Bill, you can help us, or Pauline, you can help us to mute the others. Pauline, you can help us to mute whoever else.
I would have to be a co-host to do that.
Yeah, it's Bill actually. Sorry.
Let Paul, please.
I continue?
Yes.
Okay. So in our share campaign 1, which ends in 31st December 2023, it is our hope to have raised, been able to have 25,000 shares fully paid up. And of course, would have raised 25 million shillings from the pioneer shareholders. If all the pioneer shareholders fully pay up, we hope that we will be at a higher value than 25 million, because we also are continuing to recruit new shareholders as time goes by. So of course, we hope that this number will end up slightly higher. Or even if we end up at the same place, but at least we would have started the momentum, which is great. Now, by end of June, by mid-June 2024, we hope to move to 10,000 shareholders, because by the time we're issuing the first share certificates, we will have something called proof of concept. We will have something that you can use to drive a more serious campaign, because of issues. There are many issues around shares, because at that time when we go back to the registry, we register our shareholding. We will also be moving to Capital Market Authority for compliance and everything. So I think we will be at a much better state to actually ramp up our campaign to even people we don't know, as long as they fall within the community. Then we can go for 10,000 members. And it was our hope that by the mid of 2024, would be targeting 10,000 shareholders, who we hope will give us that an additional million shares to sell. But you will notice that in January 2024, we will be selling the shares at a premium of 200 at that time. And if we raise the 10,000 shareholders, we will end up with a 10 million, we'll end up with $1 billion share capital, and we will be having about 200 million in our share premium account, which will fund our operations. At that time, we'll be able to actually do proper share drive. And we hope that we can get the executive to travel to the US, travel to the UK, have a forum with the potential members, and actually do a proper share drive campaign, which we believe this 10,000 then will be possible, because money begets money. By the July 1st, we will be starting share campaign 3, where if you notice the share premium would have gone up. Now we'll be selling the same share for 1,300 instead of 1,100. And at that point, we are hoping